What if I told you your life, yes, the life you are living right now, is not your own? Now, this might seem like a preposterous claim, but this is something that I don't think most people sit down and actually analyze. I'm going to walk you through this in a couple of minutes, and this is such a powerful thought exercise to really unlock your brain and figure out why you believe what you believe. Now, this is not always a bad thing. Your parents teaching you to look both ways before crossing the street is probably what kept you alive. And this is generally a good practice. After all, it's probably something you still do to this day, something I still do to this day. But this wasn't your own idea. This was an idea that was planted in your mind by somebody else. And we just take it and run with it. So we're all just walking around with thoughts and ideas. Our brains are basically just supercomputers running code. And a lot of times this code is something that's been implanted by somebody else. It's not our own thought. Your thoughts, your beliefs, your outlooks, these were passed down to you by your parents, and they got it from their parents. And that's really evolution. Ideas, behaviors, things that got passed down, things that worked get passed on and or modified because they work and they keep you alive. Survival of the fittest. Now I'm going to walk you through a mental exercise to help you get the most out of your mind and get the biggest benefit. Really flip it on its head to work for you and root out some of these behaviors that you may have and not even realize. We want to keep what works, but we want to identify and shed some beliefs that may not serve you. And this is a lifelong process. I guarantee you there's going to be beliefs that I hold now that I'm going to have to modify or change in 10 years' time. And I hope that I do, because that means that I am growing and learning. And I'll give you an example. When I was younger in school, I was taking a math test. Now, I never took school the most serious, but I did try on this test. I was never a star student, but I did try, and I did think I performed decently well on the test. However, after it was graded, I did make some silly mistakes on the test, and the teacher was kind of frustrated and made a comment about my grades that, I should have tried harder. Am I bad at math? Like, why did I make these basically stupid mistakes? Now, I was a young, impressionable kid, and it did leave a lasting impression on me, and I just kind of grew up thinking I was bad at math. I was like, oh, well, I must be bad at math. That's what the teacher said. And it wasn't until relatively recently I sat down and actually just gave myself the permission to evaluate it. Am I actually bad at math? So I zoomed out and looked at the facts. Well, last year I ran affiliate marketing for multiple brands, and there's a lot of math involved there. And we do hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales every month. And I also run taxes for this small business. And so there's a lot of math involved in taxes. And so after zooming out, I was like, I don't think I'm bad at math. I use it all the time. And secondly, we all carry a calculator. I hate to break it to you, but we all have a calculator in our pocket these days. And so I also realized, I don't think I'm exceptional at math, for the record, but I don't think I'm particularly bad at math. It's something that I use every single day, and so it stays fairly fresh in my mind. And if it's a more complex problem, I use a calculator. We all have a calculator in our pockets. So does it even matter? So I determined that I wasn't bad at math. I just needed a scenario where it mattered. And maybe that test that day, it didn't matter to me as much as it should have. But in running a business, it does matter. So just like that, I rooted out an insecurity that I'd had since childhood. And I say insecurity like it's this big thing. It really wasn't a big thing, but I would think about it from time to time. And I would consider myself, I might be a little bit worse than math. Like I would just think to myself that I was. And I legitimately have shed that belief. I don't think I'm bad at math anymore. And it's like this weight that has been lifted. And then I was wondering, how many other beliefs do I have like this that I don't even know that I have that are holding me back? Because if I think that I'm somebody that performs decent in math, I'm going to carry myself and act like someone who's good at math. And so it's kind of this self-fulfilling prophecy. So I don't want to have all these limiting beliefs about different areas in life, many of which I probably don't even know about, probably the same with you. And so we've got all these beliefs around whether it be money, relationships, risk-taking. And a good litmus test that I have found, and this is a really simple one, is just when you're driving and you miss a wrong turn. Do you freak out? Is it a big deal to you? Or are you going to arrive a few minutes later than you would have and you'll just get off at the next exit? And I see so many people freaking out about that scenario. Oh, I missed the turn. It's going to be crazy. Oh, it's traffic. And is it actually that big of a deal? The answer is most likely no. And I don't even think they think it's that big of a deal. It was a learned behavior a lot of times from a parent. So going forward, I want you to ask yourself this question. Why do I believe this? Whatever it may be, whether it's a belief that you hold around relationships. Certain people always do X, or this and this person is like this, so they must be like this. Why do you believe that? Whether it comes to money, is money hard to get? Is it? Is it a scarce resource? Why do you believe that? And if you can't come up with an argument for it, there's a really good probability that it is somebody else's belief that has been imparted onto you, and you are just running your life with this piece of code without knowing why you believe it. And this is actually a pretty fun exercise to do. And once you get started in certain areas, it's pretty hard to stop. It's kind of like this snowball that just starts rolling down the hill and building momentum. And you start shining the light into the corners of your life. Like, why do I believe that? Do I have a reasonable argument? And sometimes you'll find it things that you do. And it's usually an area where you have some expertise there, right? And so you're like, oh, I have a story of why I believe that. I know why I believe that. And I could back that up. And I could explain to you why I believe that because I've seen it firsthand, or I read a book about it and I trust this book and I trust this person's opinion on it. I've studied it, right? So bottom line, not all learned behaviors from others are bad. It's very important to learn from others, but we have to pick the right people and be very cognizant that people aren't imparting their beliefs, especially ones that don't serve us, onto our lives and the way that we operate without our even knowing. And we just start going by these lines of code that someone else has put on us, usually from their own insecurity. And we just pick up on that and are running our life. And a lot of times it's not even a true version of reality. So start questioning, why do I believe this? Why do I do this thing? And maybe why do I have this insecurity? Because it may be something like I had, where I just had somebody tell me I was bad at math and I just believed it. One person out of 7 billion people, 8 billion people in the world. And I believe this one person that I'm bad at math. And you know who knows me more than anybody is me. And so I don't think I'm bad at math. And I have some stats to back it up. And so I was able to build a small reason for why I don't think I'm bad at math. And you can start doing the exact same thing about any insecurity that you have. And sometimes it will be a real insecurity, right? And so it may be something that is legitimate. They might say, hey, you know, your calves are small. Do you even work out legs? And while that might be slightly hurtful, maybe we need to go to the gym and train legs. Maybe we need to, right? So we need to get those nice beefy calves, right? So that could be an insecurity that you might have. And that's something that you can work on. Great, go work on it, right? But the main reason I wanted to make this video is I see so many people struggling with an insecurity or a belief that just is not theirs, and most of the time just isn't true. But because we put a little bit too much weight on what other people think and say, sometimes more than on what we think and say, even if we know something to be true, we will usually keep quiet about it and let other people kind of speak it for us, right? And so their existence kind of becomes reality versus what you know to be true. And so you kind of need to let that internal compass be the most important thing that you look at, and also finding pillars, which can be just kind of pillars in your life of people that you really respect. And it doesn't have to be somebody that is physically in your life. It can, of course, be a parent or a mentor, but it can also be anybody could be a mentor. It could be somebody on the internet. It can be a fantastic book. And so I would encourage you to find those mentors and pillars from all different walks of life, whether it's YouTube, whether it's from really good books. It can be a character in a movie, anybody that you want to emulate. Bring those characters into your life and start incorporating their lines of code, kind of what their outlook on life into yours, especially if it's beliefs that will serve you. So I hope this helps you. Let me know down below if it does, and I will see you in the next one. You're unbreakable.